debate will give us the chance to show the world just how rubbish this government is on climate change and cheap energy. It is eco-stupid, and I can't in 5 minutes begin to explain how deep that eco-stupidity goes. For example, the government's just scrapped £11.6 billion of a climate pledge, and at the same time it's giving £11.4 billion as a tax break to oil giants to extract more fossil fuels. How is that common sense when we have climate change making life more difficult for millions of people? We've been discussing the illegal migration bill. The number of migrants and people moving around the planet will be as nothing as climate change hits faster, and people cannot live where they want to live, where they can't farm, they can't live, they can't find water. So some of the government's problem is an inability to see the global impact of climate change and our actual role in it. Plus, of course, some of it is the straightforward corruption that comes from several £1 million of donations to the Conservative Party. That's bought influence, North Sea oil licences, the demolition of our net zero target, for example. And this resistance to all things green is often disguised as an innate conservatism, but it's actually pure hypocrisy, because they love open-cast coal mines and giant fracking wells, but then they find large windmills an ugly addition to our traditional landscape. Now, self-reliance used to be a Conservative value, but that was before the party was dominated by billionaires and the vested interests of the fossil fuel industries. A village that generates its own power with a few wind turbines or a solar farm undermines corporate power and the ability to extract huge profits from consumers. And community energy becomes a real possibility with new technologies such as geothermal. And this government is resisting that as it sees a threat to the profits of the oil and gas industries. And you know, the UK is ranked in last place for heat pump installations amongst 21 European countries. That has got to be shameful. And of course, we are constantly told by the Noble Lord Minister that we're doing really well on environmental stuff. And then the Environment Minister from DEFRA, Lord Goldsmith, did tell us recently the problem is not that the government is hostile to the environment, it's that the Prime Minister is simply uninterested. And actually that's more concerning, because if at least they had some interest, they would understand the problems that we're facing. And our failure to deal with energy demand is exactly why we are expecting to be importing more gas in the coming decade. It's a failure that's costing consumers a lot of money. Insulation, along with technologies like geothermal, could cut those costs dramatically. Other countries can see the long-term savings. Other countries can see the strategic benefits of being more reliant on their own clean energy sources and less reliant on volatile, foreign-owned fossil fuels. And above all, other countries can actually see the end of fossil fuel use and are making it happen faster. And so other countries aren't applying the brakes in the way that our government is. So why not a street by street, town by town, city by city switch to heat pumps? We did it with a massive switch over from town gas to natural gas. It can be done. And why not talk to the people in towns and villages with the right geology about who wants to go geothermal, powering their homes and communities? And why not ensure that those communities benefit financially from investment in geothermal plant? It is a win-win for communities, people and the planet. I have been in your Lordship's house for 10 years, and I've been banging on about ways to make energy cheaper, about how to reduce people's costs in their homes by putting in insulation, by how to make us a better country in terms of our impact on the rest of the world. And somehow the message just doesn't get through. And so I'd be really glad if the Noble Lord the Minister can just tell me what language I can possibly use that will make this government listen. Because if they're not even listening to the head of the UN, Antonio Guterres, who says that carrying on with oil and gas production is economic and moral madness, who are they listening to? Who on earth can get through to this government to say that they are on the wrong path and they must stop as soon as possible?